Alright, we're getting back to it. For an hour or so. I'm going to keep an eye out, because there's a chance that, there's a chance that later today, someone else, one of my friends might start streaming or something. And let's see here. Our plan is to work on the parser for the afternoon. I'm just put a little bit of time into planning this. Right now, basically, I just took each of the main paragraphs or blocks of work that was being done by the dumper, and I moved them all out into separate functions. We could just plot that into one function with a single input, an arena, and an output as a first step. That would look like this. All right. I think that has turned out okay. That turned out okay. So I guess the next big thing is that the loaded data is pretty lame. I mean, that was an easy way to get it up and running once upon a time, but do I really want to make a full copy of the original data? If we took this out, what would break? These things. Okay, so occurrences of okay, I'm starting to get some ideas. Hey, Paging Turner, what's up? Alright, I'm starting to realize that ultimately I'm going to have to do a deep rewrite of this, but that'll have to happen after the jam. But when you write something and then transform it a couple of times in incremental ways, you eventually get to a point where you need to do a rewrite pass to like just see what it would look like if you did it from scratch with the new context applied. Okay, looks like everything still works. Yeah, looks the same. Freak CS asks, what is the jam project you're working on? I'm making something called Bin Dash. I'll show it to you in a second when I get compilation working again. But I can show you the page for it. I assume you're familiar with the Handmade Network Wheel Reinvention Jam, right? You're familiar with the jam. Bin Dash looks like this right now. It looks better than this at this point. We've upgraded the table graphics a little bit, and it's got more features in terms of what it can show. But you put in binary files like an object or a DLL or an executable file, and it just kind of shows you the main contents. And I'm working on better visualizations soon. I'm upgrading the parser right now so we can get better and analysis on the files so that we can visualize more stuff. There's a huge advantage to spending several years building your own text editor if you take the time to make it like exactly tuned to the way you tend to flow through your thought process, because you can absolutely get to a point where you're like kind of just second nature, expressing your thoughts at pace most of the time. Not 100% of the time. It can still be rough. Dumper's still working. Visualizer's still working. Cool. All right, so that's this done. Hey, welcome to the stream. All right. Okay, so certain things here are a lot sloppier than they need to be. Now that we're consolidating the parser down into a single, simple PE parse setup. And this parse good thing is probably the #1 offender to me right now. That was a nice, easy way to get started, but I want to get more precise about when something can be parsed and when it can't. So Oh, you know another thing is? I don't want to have to hold the data around forever after the parse to make the parse valid. So like, for example, this one right here. Now enforcing that is going to be hard work. Or rather, it's easy to enforce, but it's hard to get it correct. The function macro just marks a function. Like, it marks the beginning of a function signature. It just means static. It's the same thing as writing static. Except that I only use it on functions. I don't use it on variables. So I wouldn't go like this, right? I have global var and right. They're both just static though. Yeah, that's the main idea. Okay, so now I have to think, do I want to enforce? What if this was not externalized? What would happen? Um, hmm. Right. Okay. Actually, now that I think about it, I think something like this might be more appropriate. Okay. Yeah, I have a. This is a really interesting question. The question is, do you have any thoughts on how you'd make streaming programming better? So I have a few ideas about that. I think the reason that streaming programming isn't better than it is a lot to do with the quality of the interface for constructing programs that we have in the first place. The interface we have for constructing programming is very much a solitary system. Um, the like the entire idea of how we were constructing software was developed for like a single person at a single keyboard. Um, well, that's not entirely true. Obviously the history goes back farther. Before you were using keyboards, you would be using something like punch cards or something. But it was still. It's not an interface that is constructed for collaboration in the first place. Things like Git and, you know, what's for like live syncing things. Anything that syncs up documents is trying to move in that direction while keeping one foot rooted in solo mode, like an interface that is designed for a single person to deal with, and trying to add in collaboration. But a communal interface from the ground up probably would look totally different. And a distributed communal interface would probably work better if you started from that perspective. Now, to be more practical, I think the other big thing that it would make streaming programming better is right now I can stream to you video and audio, but I can't stream to you the like logical state of the code base. So you can't, for instance, have your own, instead of watching me on a video player, imagine you had one panel that was, you know, you put your own screen together and you have one panel that's whatever I'm focused on, and maybe you can hear me and see my face if you'd like. And then over here on your other panel, you have the ability to freely explore the code that I am editing at the same time. In other words, imagine in addition to a video channel and an audio channel, you also got a sort of live read-only stream of the code base. I think that would be the sort of thing that would make streaming better. You know, sort of taking those ideas of collaborative programming and syncing them up with the rest of the idea of streaming, so the information that I am broadcasting can include not just the pixel buffers of my code, but the semantically useful code base data structure. Yeah, the ability to see like the diff from where I started to where I am now would be really cool too. If you could have access to, you know, if I had a nice interface for the change history, you know, undo combined with Git combined with visual history browsing, and I was streaming all that to you, that'd be amazing too. Would there be interaction with the streamer via the code base sharing? Well, that's a good question. The interaction right now, the interaction channel that you have to me is just the stream chat. It might be cool if you could send me a chat that linked to a piece of code and that sort of worked as like a comment on the code or something, right? If you could connect it all together. So you could say, hey, what does this code here do, and point at it, and I could click on it and it would be up in my code face automatically. Wait, really? You've seen streamers with that setup? Like, what part of that setup are you saying you've seen before? That's really interesting to me. Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah, I've always so another topic. Abner, hope you feel better and good luck with your jam. Um, Another topic that I think relates to this that you're kind of touching on is not what would make programming better for streaming, but what would make streaming better for programmers, and that would be if if it was much more flexible, if we had a lot more options for programming our own effects and our own animations and our own things and deciding what would show up for us, what would go to the stream. And so like I'd like to be able to create effects that I can see that the stream can't and effects that the stream can see that I can't. And of course some things that are synchronized and shared together. I'd like to be able to create audio streams that I can send to the stream and audio streams that I can hear that can be divergent. And I know all of that is close to technically possible, um, but it's really hard. And as usual, that's the problem. It's not that it's not theoretically possible, it's that it's not practical. It should be trivial. And until it's trivial, it's going to feel unsatisfying. Either way, I'm probably going to wrap up soon, Abner, but thanks for dropping in to let me know. I was watching to see if you would start streaming, so that's a good heads up. But I'm at the end of, I've streamed now for 2.5 hours today total, which is a lot for me. So I think I'll wrap up before too long. But we're getting there. Uh-oh. Okay, so we got some new issues. Let's go figure out why the dumper is busted. And the other cool thing here is now I'm cleaning up this parse function so it is a little bit closer to the way I would have written it if I had written it from scratch. It's still not all the way there. It's going to take a lot more steps to get all, like, how many lines of code is the parse? The unified parse function is, look at that, it's almost 800 lines. 792 lines of code. But, and that's just the main function. There's still a few other side functions over here too, participating in that conversion. So this is how I prefer to do it. I don't construct the parse and build it in place statefully. I do all my work locally, and then I build the final result in one spot. But a lot of this is structured in a way that's different from how I would do it now that I'm, as we're getting closer to being done with the whole, getting this into the more pulled out state. A parser, the parser that I would have written by hand wouldn't have ended up this way. We're still seeing a lot of signs of the way I've iterated towards it. So it's not done. I'm not done refactoring this, but what's worse is it's not even working. So let's open up. Okay, let's make a new one. Let's target our dumper. I see the mistake, the little name spacing issue. Hey, thanks for the subscription. Okay, Matija, you're my first subscriber ever. I just set this up at Ben's request, and so you just become the first person to take advantage of it. If you didn't know, and you should know, I would like for you to know. There's also, and this is separate, and there's no way for me to sync them, which is unfortunate. But the MrForth.com / membership page will give you access to some other stuff that comes out of the lab. So I appreciate you being a subscriber. If you also want some of these perks, it's a separate subscription. You might want to choose one or the other, or you can do both if you can afford it and like me and my work that much. But thanks, I appreciate it. It means a lot. Oh, Abner, there's no way on earth I'm ever going to have my stream interrupted with people subs showing on screen. I despise that nonsense. I know that's how people get successful on Twitch, but that's not happening. I'm reluctant enough to even enable Twitch subscriptions. I feel bad that people would subscribe to me on Twitch when I want them to get the perks that I'm providing here first, unless that's really what they want. But no, thank you. Not working entirely yet. Yeah, a lot of stuff is still busted. Let's see what this is. What is busted? No, I don't want anything showing up on screen. I don't need to participate in technology. Shouldn't look. The last thing the world needs is more notifications and more stuff dancing around on screens. We've already ruined everyone's brains enough. I'm not participating in that part of technology culture. Period. If that's what it takes to make it, I'll find a different career. Okay, why is unwind info of all things getting weird? Just another one of those things where the name is the same in two different places. Probably. Not exactly. Okay, what is this? What is this? The unwind info comes from... Okay, exception handlers, unwind info. Okay. What is this? So this is in... Okay. Yeah, I mean... It's one of those things. It's definitely one of those things. I'm sponsor free. I'm also not gonna. I don't like the culture of technology we have. I'm not about it. I'm one of those people that if I could figure out how to live with less smartphone interaction in my life, I would. You know, I want less notifications. I want less flashing. I want more peace from my screens. Okay, so somehow the exception handler's unwind info is not set correctly. I mean, that looks legit. So let's take a look in parse. Wait, what? Okay, so we're saying... Did we come this far? Yes. So we got no data directories, and so we don't create one of these. Okay, so that's coming out null, which is what it always should have been doing before. Somehow exception handlers count is good, but unwind info is null. To take a step back to the conversation I was having with OK Matija, the other thing I would really like to be able to do to make streaming better using my programming to make it better is an ability to like sync up. You know, if I have music playing, which I never have music playing for you right now because I don't have enough royalty-free music of my own to play. But I'd also like to have more than just a soundtrack going. I'd like to be able to sort of create like what a video game has, where the audio space is synced up interactively with me better. Like I'd like to be able to make my own soundboard, but more than that, I'd like to be able to have the I'd like to be able to have the music coming and going or fading in and out dynamically in response to things like what activities I'm doing and whether they are well, like if I'm talking a lot, then it should figure that out and decrease the volume for you. If I am programming quietly to myself, it should figure that out and increase the volume for you. So I think the only issue here is that somehow exception handlers x86 is getting set. But not the unwind info. So I think this is the image version, object version distinction. I get it. I get it. So how did dumping ever work? That's the next question. I don't actually know how it ever worked, but this should be like, if this does not equal 0, then here's the unwind info. Right? Does that make more sense? Yeah, I agree. That's why I generally don't play music onto the stream anyways. That's why I like to let people play their own music for themselves, and I play my own music for myself. Again, not super standard, but I'm not sure. Like, I think if I could, Twitch won't. It wouldn't be possible on Twitch. But if we talked about this yesterday, if we could build a streaming standard where you could split a few audio channels out so that people who want to be on the same music together can be. I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind putting them together. You'd still have to figure out how to do it all royalty free and stuff, which is another pain in the butt. So it's a lot of steps to get to the point where I'd actually want to do it. But I don't know. Okay. This should work now. I don't really understand why this didn't crash previously. That's a part of what's confusing. But this kind of thing happens when you're refactoring in big, fast ways. Okay, what is this? So yeah, the 1700 symbols makes 14,000 lines of text in the dump. That's fine. Maybe it's been crashing this whole time and I didn't even know. Okay, so the other one's giving unsuccessful parse. Let's go check that out. Yeah, that should be fine. Why, so no crashing. It's not crashing. It's just failing to parse. Let's see about that. There we go. Binary file, random completion without crashing. And if I take a look at my DLL this way, there we go. Okay. Cool. All right. I think that's enough for today. So let's wrap it up here. I'm gonna give you the final reminder that you can become a member of the lab by going to mrforth.com/membership and clicking this little button that says join member. You can also become a supporter. There's cool perks. Make sure to take a look at which ones you might like and get the one that matches up with whatever perks you're interested in. You can go yearly or monthly on that. And thanks for coming and checking out what I'm doing. So with that, I will sign off for today, and I'll be back again tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, to keep working on this jam project. Still got a lot of cool stuff to do, and I think tomorrow probably new visualizations is going to be the priority. We're getting close to being able to do things like mapping stuff onto the file, looking at the hex view, and correlating stuff from the tables like symbols and sections to the hex view, mini-map kinds of stuff. So if you want to see that kind of thing happening, come check this out tomorrow, same time, 10:30 a.m. till however long I decide to go. And I'll see you all around the internet. Thanks. Bye.